What's going on, guys? SasDood here. You can just call me Saz. I hope everyone is having a very good New Year's. It's January, I think, 2nd at the time of this recording. And today's video is something I wanted to make last year in October, but I was trying to find a video for this weekend to upload, and I thought of this idea, and I came back to this idea. And this idea is of the fact that sometime in 2024, I got sick and tired of studying art and just studying in this, bubble. And I really wanted to branch out, and I really wanted to just start drawing and start experimenting, drawing digitally, and later on in my art quote unquote career, I start drawing traditionally. I switch over, but I really just wanted to make art instead of studying art. So from October 23rd, 2024 to the last days of December, I stopped studying entirely and I decided to draw just whatever I could find on Pinterest, whatever interests me, whether it be from video games, movies, etc. And I just wanted to create, I wanted to draw, and I wanted to experiment. And in the course of this, about a year and two to 3 months, I've learned a whole lot. And right now, let me switch over. Let me reduce my webcam here. I have my Newgrounds profile right here, and you can see here I joined on 10/23 2024. So what's that? October 23rd 2024. And that's when I really just started really spamming my uploads, drawing almost every single day, drawing what interested me and what didn't interest me. And I just wanted to go through what I found were the most noteworthy artworks that really showcased my progress of how I evolved as an artist throughout the years, right? So there's no script to this video. There's no nothing. I'm just gonna look at the artwork and I'm gonna tell you what I was feeling during these moments, what I was thinking of, and what I was doing. And hopefully you can learn something as well. So let's get started. This was my very first drawing I ever uploaded, which was on October 23rd, 2024. This was one of the very first drawings that I ever really went like all in on and used what I learned from studying in order to make a piece of artwork. And obviously this is a cosplayer of Maya from Borderlands 2. And what I really liked about this drawing was the angle, was the angle of her face and her hand covering her eye. And I really love Borderlands, so having cosplayers do this type of thing and that I can draw them is really nice. And of course I referenced all the cosplayers that I used in every single one of my posts, and it got quite a lot of views, 61 views. I didn't like the background as much, and this was basically the start of my digital journey as like a real artist, as someone who started just posting and things like that. So next is my most favorite drawing of all time. This is Death Trap from Borderlands 2. This was uploaded about a month later, a little under a month later, 2 or 3 weeks later. And this was one of the very first drawings where I really just felt so proud of it. This was the one I recorded and I posted on my YouTube, and this was the one where I started to really understand how to like hatch and cross hatch, and how basically every single drawing is made up of blocks and circles and cylinders and triangles and pyramids and just the three basic shapes, a square, triangle, and a circle. And this was the drawing where I was like, wow, I really showed up for this drawing. I really, as the young kids say, I really locked in and I focused. And it may seem rudimentary now compared to the later drawings, you'll see later on. But this one holds a really special place in my heart because this one was just one of the very first drawings where it was a character I actually liked. It was a franchise I actually liked, and I did it justice, I think, personally. Sure, a lot of things could be better, but all in all, I think this was a really good drawing for me, and I really love this drawing. Very near and dear to me. Next, we have this Tiny Tina portrait. I originally wasn't gonna put this in here, but this was on November 11th, 2024. So this was about a week after. I was basically doing weekly uploads, weekly drawings. And I don't really have much to say about this one, except I really like Tiny Tina as a character. And I really like the way I did the cross hatching on the hat. And I liked, I just like the hat. I really like the big hats. Whether it's, Disgaea, or I really like Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and I like her as a character. So I really like the direction they kind of took with her in Wonderlands. And I don't know. This was a pretty good drawing because it's a human character, and I think I did pretty good on it. Next, we have probably my most second favorite drawing after the Death Trap one, and this is Ava from Borderlands 3. This is uploaded on January 14th. So I went from November, I believe, to January. So this is about 2 to 3 months after, and you can really see the upgrade in my art in those 3 months. I don't really remember what other artwork I was doing, but this one, I really impressed myself, and I really surprised myself with this drawing, because of the way her face looks, the way her hand looks. I really like just everything about this, the cross hatching, the hatching. I like the title I gave her, Brat. I like Ava as a character, to be honest. I don't mind Ava too much, but I'm one of the few minority people that really like the Borderlands 3 humor, and I don't mind the humor too much, like that millennial humor. But I think just this drawing overall was just very good for me, besides the background. I probably shouldn't. This background was really whack. At this point in time, I was going on Pinterest. I would draw the character, and then I would go on Pinterest and look for backgrounds to make it, pop out a little more. And I've completely abandoned that recently. I hate drawing backgrounds. Characters are the life for me. Backgrounds are not. But this drawing, I like Ava. I like Borderlands 3. I like the Borderlands designs. And this drawing in general just really showcased the evolution in my art and as an artist. And that's why this one's probably my most second favorite after the Death Trap one. This was about a month later, February 12th, 2025. This is Gage from Borderlands 2. I'm really into Borderlands. I still draw a lot of Borderlands. I still, like Borderlands a lot. And there's nothing much about this drawing besides it's just a really clean drawing for me at this point in time. There weren't too many messy elements in it. And I used this drawing in particular for one of my tutorials for drawing front-facing figures, I believe. I believe I did a YouTube video showcasing one front view and one side view, and this is what I came up with. I did mess up her hat a little. I didn't catch it in time for the sketch, or from the sketch, so it kind of just floating on her head there. But I liked the way I hatched her hair right here. And Gage is my favorite character in Borderlands 2. Playable character. Her and Tiny Tina. But Tiny Tina's not playable. But just overall, this is just a really clean drawing. And it's up there as one of my best drawings, I think. KIR means keep it real. I think that's one of her action skills or skill, from her skill tree or something. I don't know why I wrote that. Let's move on. Got another Tiny Tina drawing. This one I took off Pinterest. No background. There's not much to say about this drawing. Like I said, I really like Tiny Tina. And I think in particular what stood out to me in this drawing is the way I used the curves on her face. This was at the point where I wasn't afraid of cross hatching and hatching the face as much. So I decided to experiment a lot in my digital art journey, and I decided to go wacky with it, and it kind of works for Tiny Tina and this like reference in particular, because you know she's such a weird looking character, and she's just you know, a crazy character, right? And I feel like the hatching cross hatching kind of achieved that effect with this uh, artwork, and it's a pretty simple portrait, right? When was this? This was in February 21st. Yeah, so about a week. This Tannis drawing was 3 days after. Um, there's not much to say about this Tannis one. I made her jaw a little bit too big, and I believe I made this a video. I made this a video, I think. I don't really have much to say. I just like this one. I like Tannis as a character. She's very cool. She's very funny. You can see here in the sketch, she was looking way too whatever, right? And I should have probably fixed up her eyeliner or whatever, but I just like this one. I don't know. It's not the best. It's not the worst. I wouldn't say it's one of my best artworks, but I like it, so it's in here. This was March 18th. So about a month and a week after. And I really like this one. This one I posted a speed drawing on. And this one is the one I got like a lot of compliments on when I posted it to my friends on Snapchat, and when I posted on my YouTube and stuff. Handsome Jack from Borderlands. And I believe this is the pre-sequel Handsome Jack. Or is this Timothy? I don't remember where I got this from. Just in general, I like the background. I like this thing I was doing here where I wanted to be like a manga artist or like a comic panel artist, and I really wanted to kind of have that sort of feeling, like a comic book type of feel. So I would do these panels with the name of like the title, and then the name of the character, and then my artwork. But later on, I felt like that was too distracting from the artwork itself, so I stopped doing that. And what really stood out to me in this drawing was the way I hatched his coat, and I used like form-fitting hatches, and the way I hatched his face, because at this point in time, I was really getting into hatching and cross-hatching the face and trying to do darker tones with this drawing here. We got Athena from Borderlands 2. Again, a lot of Borderlands 2. At this point in time, I was playing through Borderlands 1, 2, pre-sequel 3, Tales from the Borderlands, and I was really excited to play them, and I was really happy to play them, and I was really happy to draw them. We have Athena. This was not too long after the 21st. This was about 3 days after. So I was bit by the Borderlands bug, and I kept drawing Borderlands. What I liked about this one is the reference that I used. It's kind of like a fisheye effect or something. I don't know how they posed her character in the reference image, but her head is like kind of like out there, right? And I felt like when drawing digitally and hatching, I feel like the Borderlands characters are such good characters to draw, because it doesn't matter if they're like not too pretty or if the hatching is off in a couple of places, because overall that's kind of how the artwork goes, how it works, the cell shaded artwork. I really like her like armor robot design and how it's made in the game, how it's designed in the game, and I like how I drew it. Yeah, I just like the metal design. In particular, I kind of like this bottom section more than the head, like the armor section more than the head. But in general, I think it's a very good drawing. This is one of my best drawings that I've probably ever made in my digital era. This was about 3 days later, and I used this as a YouTube video to show people how to like identify landmarks and how I go about drawing a face from the side view. You know, eyebrows, nose to ears, mouth, etc., etc. And yeah, there's a speed drawing out here on my YouTube channel, and there's a what do you call it? A side view tutorial on this one. What I liked about this drawing, I like the hatching on her neck. Just in general, this was just one of the cleaner drawings I had, where the studying really kind of started to click for me when it came to drawing faces, at least the close-up faces, and I really just started to understand what works and what doesn't when it comes to drawing and what I want to achieve for my art style. All right, so what we have here is about 2 weeks after um, this one right here, the Cammy drawing from Street Fighter. I believe that's Street Fighter 6, but we have Serena from Mortal Kombat, and I kind of don't really like this one, but at the same time I do, because this kind of showcases the shift in my philosophy and my view on art when it comes to digital drawing. I wanted the convenience of digitally drawing, but I wanted it to be more traditional in a sense. And so I started to mess around with other types of digital brushes, texture brushes, right? And this was the result of that drawing. And I thought, I was playing a little bit of Mortal Kombat at the time, and I thought Serena, since she's my favorite character, that I would give it a go with drawing her. I don't know what I was doing with the background, to be honest. It's like some brick tile background that I gave up on. And her neck is like, I don't know what's happening with her neck here, but the main point of this drawing was to showcase me kind of being a little bit more dissatisfied with digital drawing and wanting to become more traditional in a sense. Now this one, I really like this one. I believe I had just beaten Dragon Quest V at this point, April 21st. Which one was this one? The 8th. So about a week later, 2 weeks later. And so I just beat Dragon Quest V, and I really liked Jessica in Dragon Quest. And I really wanted something to draw, and there was this cosplayer who was cosplaying her, and she was just a beautiful cosplayer, and it was just a great cosplay that I wanted to draw her, and I did. What I liked about this one, I don't know, the angle. I really like the angle for this one, and like I said with the Serena drawing, I'm still using that textured brush as I become more and more dissatisfied with digital art, and you can see that as the drawings go on. So nothing too crazy about this artwork, but for some reason I like it. It's the angle and it's the character. This one was exactly a week later, and this was one of my more favorite. This was probably my third favorite one, I think. It's Disgaea, Plein Air, Usagi Drop. What I liked with this one is it really kind of really meshed well with the same textured brush I was using, and Plein Air. That's Takedo Harada's mascot. Just overall, she's from Disgaea, and I really like Plein Air. She's not my favorite, but just in general, I took this from a video game screenshot. Someone had screenshotted, I think, like a Disgaea 6 or Disgaea 7 attack, and this was one of her attacks. And I decided to just draw it. And, I'm not a big fan of anime and stuff like that, but sometimes it's good to branch out. And in general, I really like the way I did the bunnies. I like the way she looks. And just in general, this drawing was just another reason for me to like just branch out and to do more stuff that I wasn't familiar with at the time. And I really like this one. I really like this one. Here we have Red Sonja. This is about 2 or 3 weeks later. Red Sonja Funko Pop. I had around this time I had gotten into Conan the Barbarian and Red Sonja in general. I watched all the movies at this point, and I really liked Bridget Nielsen's rendition of Red Sonja, and I bought the Funko Pop for cheap, and I decided to draw it. This is a good drawing, and not in any way, shape, or form. I do like the background I did for her. It's like a notebook kind of background, and I like her shading on the eyes. But in general, around this time, I was kind of messing with more line weight type of things, and like I said with the past drawings, I'm still using the textured brush. And this was just a fairly simple drawing. I think it was nighttime when I did this one. I felt just really good about this one. Having the figure in my hand and looking down at it and drawing it and having, a reference image on my computer. I just really like this one. I like the name, Vermilion-Haired Warrioress. It's a good name. So now here we kind of reach near the end of this era. We went from May to June, about a month. And this is Katana from Mortal Kombat. I feel like the scan quality is a little off or something. Maybe I didn't scan it too well. I believe I made this a video. I believe I did, like a speed drawing. Still using the textured brush. But at this point in time, I was really becoming dissatisfied with digital drawing. And at this point, I had grasped enough of what I wanted to do with digital drawing that I kind of just got bored of it. And I really wanted like the tactile feel of a pencil. And I really wanted to just not draw digitally anymore. So nothing really stands out about this drawing besides the fact that my feelings towards digital drawing had changed so much in the opposite direction, where I just didn't want to draw digitally anymore, and it wasn't really matching up to how I wanted to draw. Which brings us to one of my very first pencil drawings. This wasn't my first, but it was like one of the 2 or 3. It was like my second or third pencil drawing, and this is Obito from Naruto. This was in June. So, June 9th to June 25th. At this point, I got rid of my drawing tablet, my Galman PD156 Pro, and I decided to just draw digitally. And this was done using my, I believe it was this one, my 0.5mm pencil. Or no, I think it was my 0.7. Yes, this was my 0.7. At this point, I was switching from digital to traditional, and keep in perspective, it's been, at this point in time, I had been drawing digitally for 3 years straight. That went from the first year, where I was basically drawing from 8 hours a day, practicing and studying, down to 4 hours near the end half of the first year. Second year, I was still doing 4 hours. And then the third year of studying and digitally drawing, I was doing 2 hours a day studying. And at this, and like I said, this year was just me not studying, but this is coming off of 3 years of just straight studying digitally. So when I wanted to draw traditionally, it was really a struggle for me because I didn't know how to handle graphite, right? And I didn't know how to make the values darker. And I was still basically just experimenting, seeing what works and what doesn't. And so I thought that copying manga panels would be the best way for me to learn with graphite, because manga panels are just pure black and white. There's some gray thrown in there, but and I was watching a lot of Naruto at the time. My friend recommended me to read Naruto, not watch Naruto. I'm not a big anime fan, but at this point in time, I was reading Naruto, and I wanted to, you know, surprise him with some drawings that I thought would be good, and this was the result. I was messing a little bit of line weight, as you can see here. I had learned how to use a little bit of line weight, but majority of my brain power was being spent on how to handle the pencil. This was about a week later. At this point in time, I was really trying to get better with graphite and with mechanical pencils, and this one had a better outing. I didn't know how to like use the blunt side of the pencil like I do now, and how to mess with graphite, so I just did this multi-layered directional hatching, and this really hurt my hands. The drawings I did following this period was just, my hands were just really messed up because I was just really, it was just doing this over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I would do that for the base layer because I didn't want to go too hard on the graphite. And then I would go another layer and then possibly a third layer deep. So I would put 2 to 3 layers of graphite, and I would just layer it over and over and over again, and it was just killing my hands. But this one was a better outing, and I learned how to grasp the graphite a little bit more. This one I just liked because Shisui is my friend's favorite character, and I was learning how to use a cross hatching with pencils. So I was using curved hatching and cross hatching on the handle of the blade, on his little collar here, on the headband, And like I said, this was like the Naruto phase. I was reading Naruto, and I think I had finished Naruto at this point, and I just was really excited to draw it and to show my friend my drawings. This was all in the same month. The Obito, Itachi, and Shisui drawings. This one I was really proud of. At this point in time, I was playing like a lot of My Hero Ultra Rumble, and this was next month. This was July 7th. And Kendo is one of my favorite characters in that show. I don't like My Hero as a whole. I don't really like it. I think it's kind of a corny show. Sorry. But this was, I think, I had stopped watching the anime at this point, but I had read the entire manga and I know how it ended, and I dropped Vigilantes about halfway through. And I was looking for more manga panels to draw, and I was looking for more things to kind of practice my graphite, my mechanical pencil drawing with, and I thought this would be the perfect one to do. So I really like the curved hatching on her breast here, her like little like stomach thing. I didn't mess up here. It makes her look a lot more fat because I didn't understand how the manga drawing went. I should have, I tried to fix it in post, but yeah, I messed up this part. Curved hatching on her spats here, her boots. And I at this point in time, I was trying to figure out how to make the artwork pop a little bit more for drawing, like to stand out when it's drawing. And I decided to kind of do a little bit more of a darker outline, particularly around, intersecting areas, like her thighs, or like where her breasts meet her little like belt pouch thing, right? And so I just really like this drawing. I don't know, this drawing's cool. I like muscle girls. I like, girls who are dominant and tomboys and things like that. So I thought this was a good drawing. She's funny in the show too. Now this drawing's quite possibly one of my best drawings that I've ever done in my art career, both digitally and traditionally. It's Kakashi from Naruto. Kakashi, he's one of the best masters of all time in Naruto. My personal favorite, I think, is Rock Lee, I think. I like Gaara, I like Rock Lee, I like Kakashi. But with this drawing in particular, I started to really handle what I could do with graphite and drawing. What did I use with this one? 0.5 millimeter. Okay. I should not have used just a 0.5 millimeter. But this drawing in particular is just so clean. It's a good reference image from the manga. There's not really anything wrong per se with the drawing. The composition by Kishimoto is great. And I think my hatching and cross hatching was great. Excuse me. I really like the directional hatching I did for this little like Naruto symbol. I think that's what they call it, the Naruto symbol. On his shoulder here. I really liked his mask. And like I said, at this point in time, like with the Kendo drawing, I was doing the outlining of the background. So I would darken the outline of the character to make him or make them stand out more. Just in general, this is a really great drawing and is one of the highlights of my my art career. Now this one stands out to me because at the time I was going through a really rough patch. Not really in my life, but I was just really out of it. I guess that day or that month or that week. I don't really remember. And when was this? This was July 14th. I don't know. I was just really tired from uploading weekly videos, and I was really tired of drawing, and I was getting hit by the burnt out of switching from digital to traditional because I kind of pushed myself too hard. And this was a Borderlands 3 Ava drawing, and this wasn't taken from like the games. I found a reference image of a girl like with her mouth open like this on Pinterest, and I was like, well, what should I draw for that day? I couldn't really think of anything to draw that day, and I was like, well, I should draw Ava, right? I've been meaning to draw Ava. There's not really any reference images of her online. No one really cares about her. she's viewed more as a nuisance in the Borderlands community. And I was like, well, I might as well give it a shot. And so I took the reference image and I, warped it around, and I basically used that as a basis for this drawing. So technically this is like a wholly original drawing where I had to really think, and I had to understand where to put her headphones and how to tackle her proportions compared to the reference images proportions and things like that. And that felt really good. And I felt really crappy during the drawing. I felt really crappy during the day. I wasn't sick. I was just burnt out. And so I couldn't really be bothered to shade it correctly. And so I just say screw it. I decided to just say screw it, and I just did a light, gray smattering of hatching over her hair. Usually her hair is like a blue or like a dark blue, something like that. Closer to like a blue, dark blue / purple type of hair. And I should have probably just cross hatched this or used a darker lead grade, but at the time I was still using my, like I said right here, my 0.5 millimeter mechanical pencil. I didn't really like my 0.7, and I had a 0.9, but I never really used it. So in general, this is one of the drawings that with like just a little bit of tweaking could become one of my best drawings, but I just didn't really care at the time. No, was I really focused on that? I just wanted to get a drawing out just to get a drawing out at the time. July 18th. This is July 22nd. Now, this is Tana from Crash Bandicoot. What I really liked about this drawing, and I don't know if you can tell here, I think I used my 0.9 for this one. No, I still used my 0.5. So this was about, okay, I took a little bit of a break, about 4 days later. And what I really liked about this one, I think it's a good drawing. Like, it's a very well made drawing, but I did take a lot of, like, I had, this drawing was really rough for me. I had to really reference the image a lot more than I would have liked, and copied a lot more than I liked, just straight up. And it wasn't really a fun drawing for that reason. But what I thought was a really good, why I thought this was a really good thing to showcase, despite it being a good drawing, is that at this point in time, I was learning how to use the blunted side of my mechanical here. So you can see here, I deliberately sharpened down my 0.5 like I usually am, in my Right in the Rain mechanical pencil review and how to shade using the blunt side of a mechanical pencil video. I was doing this technique for her because it was just a really good way to shade, the Crash Bandicoot character skins. And I really liked the hatching I did for her eyes, her eyeshadow, and the directional hatching for her hair, her big hair, and just the blunt side with the pencil here. And at this point in time, I didn't know about the circling technique. So I just did straight up and down hatching and curved hatching for her skin here. And what's funny is I didn't notice this at the time, but I forgot to color her pants. I was just really really focused into the drawing itself and the shading itself, that I forgot that she wears like blue jeans, like blue jorts, or like blue jean shorts or whatever, denim shorts. And I just forgot to completely shade it. Do I say that down here? No, I think I said it in like my Patreon or something when I post this, that I forgot to shade her pants. And that was just really funny to me. So this is an incomplete drawing. I also didn't want to shade her shirt because it would have matched with her arms, and it'd be a visibility issue. So since she wears a pink shirt, I could have shaded it, but I decided not to. And because I decided not to shade her shirt, I didn't shade her jeans either. But I didn't shade her shirt because it was intentional. I forgot to shade her pants because I was stupid. But at this point in time, you can see the shift in my traditional drawing here. This drawing in particular was just another example of me using the blended side of the pencil here. Nothing really too special about this drawing. I don't really like this drawing, to be honest. I forgot to shade her nose. I think her nose is supposed to be black. And I messed up with the background. I forgot, like, I wasn't paying attention to the drawing itself, and I made the background the same, like, shading as her face, and it kind of looks like she's just melting into the background here. I tried to, like, relieve that issue. Excuse me. I tried to relieve that issue of her, like, blending into the background by outlining her hair and, like, just the outside of her, like, body, but it didn't work. So, whatever. This one I liked because I decided to start using darker shades, I think. Yep. So for this one, I used my 0.5 and my 0.9 millimeter. Did I do this one? Okay. So this one was the very first time I ever used my 0.9 millimeter and using it for the, you know, the blended side of shading with the mechanical. And, you know, I love Crash. At the time I was playing through all the Crash games, so that's why it's a bunch of Crash Bandicoot drawings. And I just really liked the way I did his eyebrows, the directional shading on his eyebrows, and I really liked the fact that I was learning different ways to use my mechanical pencil here. So it's just a good drawing. Just showcases how I was constantly evolving with my graphite usage. This one, I decided to go back to pen and ink, and at the time I was turning 25, which wasn't too long ago. That was in September. And at this point in time, I was doing my art streams, and I was just so focused. I got tired of graphite, and I wanted to do pen and ink because the whole point of me drawing was because I wanted to be like my, you know, favorite manga artist and things like that. And I didn't really know how to kind of tackle my self-portrait. I've done self-portraits in the past, but I've kind of hidden them away. I believe I showed them in my 3 years of drawing video, some of my self-portraits. I think I did 1 or 2. But this one stands out because it was all stippling. So what? I think I just used my, my 1 millimeter ballpoint pen. At this time, I don't think I had any microns, or maybe I did. But I was really into just using the ballpoint pen. And this was the result. You can see my hair has grown a lot since September. Now it's down to my neck here, and that's after a haircut. But I just really like this drawing. I don't know. One day it was my birthday was coming up, and I didn't really know what to do for this drawing here. So I was sitting right here. I had this light turned on over here, and I just took a selfie here, and I was like, yeah, let's just do that. You know, let's just do that as a drawing here. I don't know what's up with this. Is this supposed to be my shirt? I might have messed that up. I'm not too sure, but I just really like this drawing. I was just, you know, another way of evolving my art. Made myself look like a Giga Chad or something with that jawline, and then I fixed it in the stippling. I made it a little less squarish, more rounded. Yeah. Nothing much to say here. This was taken from one of my art streams, 1 millimeter ballpoint pen. What I liked about this one is, just like how I used the blended side of my mechanical pencils, the dull side of the mechanical pencil, I was using the dull side of the ballpoint pen to create texture in this box here. So you can see here, it's kind of like a faded ink, and that's because, I don't know if I have my ballpoint pen here, but you can see here, you can just use the side of your pencil here, and it creates like that dotted line effect of your pen here, and it creates that dotted line effect where it creates texture, but it doesn't really add any sort of shading to it, if that makes any sense. It adds shading, but that's because of the texture. And I thought this one was just really good, and I just took this from stream, and then I made it its own separate video, and I thought it'd be worthy enough to showcase here. And this was one of the very first drawings, I believe, where it's not like a character or a pre-approved properly, pre-approved property. No, I don't know what I'm saying here. I've been talking too much. But this was like a non, video game or whatever property. It was just a drawing I took off Pinterest. Thank you to WVSSAZ for commenting. That's very nice. Very well done. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. This was, I think, a Micron pen drawing. Yes. So I used my 05, 03, and my 01. At this point in time, I was spending 20 to 30 hours in Conan Exiles trying to make my custom character at this point. And this is what came out. Since she's, a black, she barbarian, very massive, very big, a very dominant. Like, I thought using like a pen and ink would do well because I was inspired by the books I had in my bookshelf by Jerry Gianni or Gary Gianni, I believe his name is. And it was all purely black and white drawing, and I really wanted to replicate that. And what I liked about this one is just the shading in general here. I like the way I did her hair. I like the way I did her face. And this is one of the more standout drawings with my microns. At this point in time, I was messing with microns on stream, and I was messing with it a little bit off camera, but not too much to the point where it was, familiar. So just really like this drawing in particular. Just another drawing to showcase my evolution and how I went from digitally drawing to traditionally graphite to pen and ink. Just a very nice drawing in particular, and because it's my original character, I feel like more of a kinship or more of a proud feeling that I did her good with this drawing. I thought I fixed this. I don't know why the sketch is upside down, but this is Evelyn from Resident Evil 7. If you watched my little girl villains character or little girl villains video, this is one of my most favorite little girl villains. And despite my opinions on modern Resident Evil as a whole, Resident Evil 7 was kind of like the old guard, where it was kind of between modern and old, kind of. And this was not a very beautiful drawing. I didn't want to make it beautiful, and I think that was the effect I was trying to achieve with my microns here. And what I learned from my previous micron usage was just I wanted a smaller, not lead grade, but smaller size for hatching and cross hatching, and this is what I came up with. Just a reference image I took off Pinterest. I didn't know whether I should use solid blacks or not, and I didn't know whether to cross hatch or not super deeply. So you have like whatever's going on with her eye shadow here and her side of the nose here. But while it may not be one of my favorites aesthetically, or it may not be very clean aesthetically, I think it's a very important drawing simply because of like the experimentation and just because it's my favorite character in Resident Evil 7. I feel like I fixed this though, because I remember it being upside down and I fixed it, and I forgot to crop it too. Whatever, it's not a big deal. This was taken from one of my streams. I think this was the last stream I did before I took a big break. And then I came back, like a month later, but it's just a 1mm ballpoint pen. I got tired of my microns and I went back to the ballpoint pen. And I made a speed drawing of this, and this was on stream. Not much to say. I think it's a good drawing, particularly the stoplight here. I don't know about the box. The box is okay. I was using the blended side of the pen here as well. It's just a good drawing in particular. Now we're back to graphite. So we're in the modern era now. We're in the era where this wasn't even too long ago. This was in November, where I got tired of microns. I got tired of ball pens. I'm going back to pencil because a lot of people are doing ballpoint pens and microns and things like that. And my viewpoint has always been, my goal in like life is always to be like it sounds bad, but to be like the contrarian and to do things that other people aren't doing. And so despite me starting drawing and wanting to draw like a manga artist or drawing like a comic book artist, I leaned more and more away with that, as you can tell throughout the course of this video and with the course of my drawings. because I just didn't want to be like everyone else. A lot of people are doing hatching, cross hatching with pen and ink, and there's a lot of people doing that type of comic book work and artwork, and I really wanted to stand out, and I really wanted to um apply a sort of texture to my artwork. There's not really a texture when you do pen and ink, and I really wanted to apply that. And I believe, yeah, I was still using my 0.5, my 0.9. Her eyes are a little messed up, and I didn't have my Right in the Rain 2B 1.3 millimeter, so a lot of the dark here is not really that dark, and that's a problem you'll see in these more recent drawings until I get my 2B pencil. Is um a lot of the stuff is just not very dark. Her skin color, because I made her like the darkest black in the game, and that's also like a very conscious choice and very a conscious design choice, and I wanted to uh kind of make her darker. So after these for a few couple drawings, I decided I needed to get a 2B pencil to really do her justice. So I like this drawing. Here you can see the original screenshot I took from the game, and here you can see my drawing. I think it's a good drawing. It's not a great drawing. I think it's an okay drawing. This one, nothing much to say about this one. I really dislike the shading on this one. I didn't blend it at all. I think that's the problem with these earlier graphite drawings is I learned how to use the blended side of the pencil, and I learned how to, I learned how to use my line weight, which I didn't really use in these few drawings here, and I start doing it as of recently, but I just didn't really utilize the blending very well. Now I blend a little bit better. I outline a little bit better, and I darken a little bit better. And because I had my 2B, I can make a darker values with these types of drawings here. Went back to microns. This was November 29th. Went back to microns for this one. So story behind this one was I spent like $20 on a bunch of microns, and they're right here in front of me, and I still haven't used them, so that was kind of a waste of my 20. But I don't know, my friend was like you should draw more like anime stuff, and I was like, well, I'll just do Itachi, right? So I took I think this was like from the anime. I took the image, I drew I drew both halves actually, and then I just cross hatched and hatched like hell for the other side. And I think it's a very cool composition here. Just another way of me showing that I'm trying to branch out, expand. Here's the sketch here, and here's the original drawing. I don't think I ever used my microns again after this one. Now this one, I really like this one. We're coming to the end here. There's 3 more drawings. This video has been like an hour long. I really do appreciate if you stuck around this whole hour. It's just it's a year's worth of drawing. There's no other way to get around it. But this was one, if not probably my most favorite drawing of all time, I think. So after spending like 20 and 30 hours in the Conan Exiles character creator for my first drawing, for my first character, the She Barbarian, I wanted to make another contrarian character, and being inspired by my video I made about the little girl villains in horror media, I decided I wanted to make my own type of character. And what characters do you not see in Sword and Sorcery? You don't see a lot of black women, or black women at all in Sword and Sorcery, and you don't see like little girls or little boys or just children in general in Sword and Sorcery. It's a very like male power fantasy genre. So I took a lot of, so you don't see a lot of black characters, like African characters or whatever. You don't see a lot of children, and and if you combine them, you don't see a lot of black sorcerer children, right? And I thought this would be a good drawing to do, because it took me a long time to set up the reference for this one. with her eye being, not covered and the other one being covered and things like that. It just took a long time. But what I really like about this image in particular was just the grittiness of the drawing here. And I actually did actively try to blend her skin tones together by matching the darkness of her skin. I incorporated a little bit of cross hatching, and that's what I do now is best of both worlds. I use cross hatching mainly for environments and for lighter values. And then when it comes to the darker values and when it comes to clothing and stuff like that, I use the blended side of the mechanical. And when it comes to hair, I do cross hatching too, sometimes. But I really like the environment. And I really liked just in general the whole composition. And this was one of my more favorite characters that I've made and that I've drawn and that I've posed in Conan, and I just really enjoyed this drawing in particular. I stopped doing like the fancy name and I just decided to draw my name in here, incorporate in the art. And I really like that her eye is poking out, just like in the original drawing. It's one of my more favorite ones, probably one of my favorite ones of all time, maybe. This is where I got my Right in the Rain number yellow 13 1.3 millimeter 2B mechanical pencil, and I put it to good use. This is Sadako from The Ring. This was on December 15th, my second to last drawing for this video. Not the second to last I ever did, but as you can see here, it was just black. Maybe, I think in the future, I'll get like a 4B 1.3 millimeter or like a 4B 1.8 millimeter, something like that, closer to like a lead clutch pencil or whatever you call it. I just love the composition. She's another like little girl, well, not little girl, but like she's another horror type of teen villain. And this was straight off my video that I made about that type of topic. So I was really inspired to do a little bit more horror drawings. And I thought my 2B pencil would be the perfect way to illustrate the difference between an HB, my 0.9 HB, and this 1.3 millimeter 2B mechanical. Just one of my favorite drawings. I really like this one, and it's such a iconic piece of media, like image and just series overall. So I think I did it justice. This one's a really good drawing here. Now this is the very last drawing I did, and it was uploaded a day before New Year's. So this was 10 days before Christmas. This was a day before New Year's. Dragon Ball Super Kefla, 0.5 millimeter mechanical, 0.9 millimeter mechanical, and so both HB, and then my 2B 1.3 millimeter. And this is where I'm at right now. So after an hour in the video, after a full year and about 2 or 3 months, this is where I'm at now. This is my most latest drawing. And it kind of just shows everything that I've learned and everything that I've experienced, everything that I've studied, all in one drawing. I'm using my 0.9 millimeter for, so what I determined is that the HB should be just the default gray value for my drawings. And possibly it could be lighter. I could go a step down from my default gray, which I'm willing to experiment with. But for right now, the default 0.9 HB is what I'm experimenting with. I have a 1.3 millimeter HB coming in the mail to help with larger areas because my 0.9 is just not cutting it anymore. I'm really becoming really dissatisfied with the size here after experiencing my 1.3 millimeter 2B. But for this drawing, I used my HB, as you can see here. Oh, you can't even see my cursor. Oh, yeah, you can. It's just really small for some reason. I don't know why you didn't notice that 1 hour in, but HB for her gloves here. HB for like her midriff, the shadow from her shirt here. 0.9 right here, just a little bit darkened. And then I used my 1.3 millimeter 2B for her pink shirt. And then I use my 2B again for the hair here and my HB 0.9 for the face here. And this, like I said, this kind of really encapsulates everything that I've done with my art and everything that I've learned with my art. I started using the circling technique right around the time I decided to start drawing my original characters for Conan, and it kind of really shows here because if I was just using the up and down cross hatching, um, it doesn't really showcase a 3D effect. When you use the circling effect, it really kind of has like a 3D effect when it comes to clothing and such, and for bodies. So for that reason, I did the circling thing. Maybe I'll do a video on that for her shirt. And then for the hair, I just did straight up and down hatching. I just kind of just face rolled my pencil across her hair, and then I used a what do you call this? A kneaded eraser, to kind of just clean up the outside of her hairs here. And you can see this. I uploaded a speed drawing of her. Near the end, I really messed up her eye, and they're still not the same size, but that's okay. Doesn't really matter to me. That's kind of like a little detail that's kind of hard to find, kind of obscured by my shading on her face here. And her fingers are a little messed up because I didn't pose her correctly. But I don't know. This drawing just, like I said, encapsulates everything that I've learned when it comes to graphite, when it comes to shading with the blunt side with the pencil, when it comes to my experimentation with mechanical pencil sizes and mechanical pencil lead grades. And I'm just really happy with how I'm tackling just my art in general. And I'm just really happy with the way my direction is going with art in general, right? So that's 1 and 2 to 3 months of 1 year and 2 to 3 months of my art progress. I stopped studying entirely in October 23rd, 2024, and I ended that streak. Well, I didn't end the streak, but that journey from October 23rd, 2024 to December 30th, 2025 is the journey here. And it kind of just shows you that once you stop being scared of whatever it is you wanted to do, because I was scared that I wouldn't be able to demonstrate what I learned through the course of drawing, but ironically, being stuck in that prison of studying to get better, and to get better I need to study, is what held me back. And so this experiment was me finding my, quote unquote voice as an artist, finding my art style, and learning what it means to be an artist and what it means to experiment and what it means to find your own way through this journey of art, right? And that's the best I can kind of give you without thinking of a more inspirational quote or, typing it up in a script. But 1 hour later, to those who have stuck around, thank you. To those who have stuck with the channel, thank you. To those who comment, to those who dislike, who support my drawings on Newgrounds, who take a look at my stuff, the same things on Patreon, who watch all my videos, who comment, who subscribe, and things like that. I want to thank you guys. It's the new year, which means there's going to be a lot more drawings. I'm going to focus a lot more on a lot of more not safe for work stuff and things that I can't really showcase on the YouTube channel. But I'm going to go into that a little bit more when it comes near March. Because in February, it's going to be my 4th year anniversary as an artist, and I plan to make a video, or maybe this will be the video. And in March is I think my 2nd year as a YouTuber on YouTube. But I don't know, that's it, guys. That's all I have to kind of showcase. If you learned something from this video, that's great. If you just like to listen to me talk for an hour, that's good too. Hopefully you learned something from my mistakes, and my successes and my journey overall as an artist. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. If you wish to support me, my artwork, and my videos, all my payment/tipping links are in the description. More videos, more artwork, and more things will come regardless, even if you don't support the YouTube and things like that. So thank you guys once again. I want to wish you all a happy new year. I hope your year is good. I hope your year is well. And I hope you accomplish a lot of the things that you wanted to accomplish. And that's all right if you don't, because as you can see here, even if you fail, you have to fail a lot in order to succeed. And you can learn a lot from failing a lot. Take it from me, I've failed a lot, guys. So take care, guys. See you soon.